Okay. All right, welcome to this week's market report. So today we are going to talk about the 3 things that you must know about the Northern Virginia real estate market right now. I'm Sean.
Kelly.
And this week we are going to go over what's happened in the last 7 days of the market. You're going to be shocked. We will get into the graphs at the end of this video, so if you want to fast forward to that part, that's great. But before we get there, we'd like to really make sure you're understanding what is going on in the market right now. So we're going to talk about the 3 most important things. Number 1 is spring is coming early. What do we mean by that?
Okay, so gone are that little blip in time where we said that, hey, now's the time, buyers, because you're not going against multiple offers. You don't have to waive everything, and maybe you might eke by a little under ask. Forget it. That's over. Things are having multiple offers again. They're going above ask, and all of the showings I've set up for you today, by the way, I'm letting you know now.
Okay.
They all have offer deadlines again. So we're back to that, which means they're expecting it to be really busy, blah, 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 blah. And so. Yeah,
we've actually had 2 buyers over the last week that have been battling multiple offers, gone above ask, and
with escalations.
So
waiving home inspections.
Yeah, so it's almost like we're back to the market of 6 months ago.
Except point number 2, we don't have the inventory.
That is the reason for point number 1, in my opinion. So yes, market volume has dropped dramatically. I've seen numbers as much as 30%, 40% in different areas of the country, but market activity has dropped dramatically, but the inventory has gone down with it even more so. So our inventory is so low right now that is creating the competition that buyers are having to deal with, and buyers are starting to come into the market because it's that time of year. So from a seller's perspective, this is a phenomenal time to sell. We are seeing properties that have come on the market that have been sitting for 3-4 months that all of a sudden get multiple offers and going off the market. So sellers, if you're considering selling, don't wait to spring. There's no competition right now.
There's no reason to wait for spring.
There's no reason to wait for spring. Now is the time for you to get in there because you're facing a lot less competition with your property. Okay? Yeah. So point number 1 is, what was it? Spring is coming early.
It's coming.
Point number 2 is inventory is really low. Point number 3 is.
Yeah, you had a point number 3 that was brilliant earlier.
Point number 3 is each market is unique. So the real estate market is kind of like the weather. You might talk to a friend over in Idaho and they could be having major thunderstorms, but that has nothing to do with what your weather is here. The real estate market is very, very similar. Go ahead. Yeah, you had a point on this.
Well, I wanted to say what happens in blank market stays in blank market, right? Yes. So what happens in Northern Virginia stays in Northern Virginia for the most part, right? We're kind of a unicorn in our real estate market. So if your Iowa cousin says that their real estate market is doing well, that's great, but that stays there, right? Yes. What's going on here stays here.
Yeah, and we have a very unique market because we have very high income with most of our residents. We have the stability of the government jobs with all the other big companies in the area. So it's a very unique market here. So
all the IT work we have here, this is huge.
Absolutely, absolutely. So as you're hearing the national market news, number 1, remember a lot of it's just clickbait. We're actually hearing a lot of people from Alabama, from Florida, from different parts of the country that are starting to see this uptick in activity, multiple offers again. So
even in those areas?
Yeah, we're starting to see that. So and we have a unique market here. So if it's happening there, you know it's happening here. So just really pay attention to your local market. Watch our weekly market reports so you know exactly what's going on, and don't get caught into what's being said about other markets.
Right.
Okay? All right. Anything else on this?
I love you.
I love you too. All right, so now let's get into the actual graphs so you can see what has happened over the last 7 days. And if you have any questions, please feel free to let us know. Okay, so here we go. We're going to dive into the graphs here. And what you're going to see is exactly what Kelly and I were just talking about. We're going to see that the spring market is starting to come into play a little bit early. You're going to see why we're seeing multiple offers on properties, why we're seeing offer deadlines happening again, and honestly why this is a fantastic time if you're considering selling your property to go ahead and put it on the market now. We do expect in the spring, starting around late February, early March, we expect to see an influx of properties hitting the market. We also expect to see an influx of buyers hitting the market. So the ratio will probably stay the same, but if you're a seller considering selling right now, it makes a lot of sense to go on the market when the buyer demand is there and there's a lot less competition versus going when everybody is into the market. You have a lot more competition. So if you are considering selling your property, again, this is a fantastic time. So, you know, reach out to us. Let's have a conversation about what we think we might be able to get for your property, what the market may pay for your property. Okay, so let's dive into the activity here. You can see that the orange line, as always, is our buyer activity. And you can see that it's been staying fairly steady. The last 2 weeks, it's picked up pretty dramatically. And then you can see on the inventory side, you can see the blue line. We had a dip, and then we had 2 weeks of significant pickup, and then we had another dip again. So you can see that we're starting to see a little bit of a trend. Oh, let me get my pen to right here. We're starting to see a little bit of a trend. There we go. On inventory starting to tick up a little bit, but it's still historically low. You can see that inventory was always a lot higher than it is now. And you can see a trend on buyer activity picking up as well. So this is what we mean by saying that we feel like the spring is starting to arrive early. So what does this mean? Well, if you go through here and we look at the gap, get my tools here ready. We look at the gap, you can see the inventory is low, buyer activity is high, so that gives us a gap right there, which indicates a seller's market. So we come over here to buyer's market versus seller's market. Sorry, I got a cat running over here. Get out of here, cat. Yeah, if you don't mind. You can see buyer's market versus seller's market. You can see last week, 2 weeks ago, we had a significant drop in inventory. Let's see, where were we? Let's see, it's 1 week, 2 weeks. Yeah, we were really low in inventory and we had an uptick in buyer activity. And so we had a significant increase into a really strong seller's market. That was kind of a glitch as to what's happening with the overall market. But you can see that we have a trend for the last several weeks where we are moving into a stronger seller's market. We did come down to buyer's market last week, and that was just because we had this large uptick right here of inventory. But now that the buyer activity is caught up to that uptick in inventory, we moved back into the seller's market. So you can see we are certainly in an upward trajectory going towards that seller's market going into spring. So if you're a buyer and you're waiting until spring or summer, if you have any way possible that you can go ahead and get into the market now is the time, because this is only going to continue to increase, especially with interest rates starting to calm down a little bit. People are starting to settle into the fact that interest rates are where they are. We have new pools of buyers coming into the market that weren't even looking back when interest rates were in the threes. So they're not really bothered by where the interest rates currently are. So we just have all the indicators saying that the market is going to continue to move in this upward direction, at least through the spring and the summer. So reach out to us. Let's talk about your situation individually. For example, we have sellers that were thinking about selling spring, summer. Now they're thinking about coming on the market sooner. We have buyers that are in leases that were locked into leases until August. And we're starting to work with their landlords to try to create a win-win situation so that they can go ahead and try to get into the market now versus having to wait for all this competition to come in and they start facing even more multiple offer situations than we're experiencing right now. All right, so if you have any questions, please let us know. Hopefully you got some good value out of this. If you did, please be sure to subscribe to our channel, and we will see you on next week's video. Have a great week.